Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This one it's probably gonna be a little bit of a different episode because frankly I'm in a mood because I've been dealing with some shit. So I'll get into that before I do. Shout out to the Bitbox O2 hardware wallet from Bitbox. Go to bitbox.swiss/Bitcoin Made Simple. Use promo code Bitcoin Made Simple, and you'll get 5% off and get your coins off the exchange, please. And as always, Movies Plus, that's my streaming platform. Go to mymoviesplus.com and use promo code Corey, C-O-R-Y, and you'll get a year for $24. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll probably have seen that I shared some personal news that's not great. And yeah, I just been having a really hard time with it. So my mother-in-law has a cancer called cholangiocarcinoma. It's a bile duct cancer of the liver, and it is one of the deadliest cancers that you can have. She got diagnosed in May of 2021, and it just floored us all because she's only 61 now. She was 59 at the time. But she's one of the most ridiculously healthy people in the world. Not overweight, doesn't eat junk food, doesn't drink a lot, exercises, all that stuff. So she's the last person you'd ever expect to get something like this. And from the beginning, it was a very grim diagnosis. She asked us all early because she's a fighter, and I tell her all the time, like, believe me, I would not want to pick a fight with you. But she told us not to look up, not to Google it. She wanted everybody to stay positive and everything. And I was actually I was following that, and it was driving me crazy. So I haven't even told her this, but my wife knows. But my therapist was like, look, you have an obsessive, you have OCD. So your brain is going needs an answer. It's actually going to do good for you. It'll put you in a better place. You'll actually be able to be more positive because you'll be able to see, hey, I can latch on to here's some success and blah blah blah. So frankly, back in June of 2021, I was preparing for the worst, and it was it wasn't going to be long. But then the chemo did work for her enough where she was able to get the surgery. And now even if you get the surgery to remove it, even if you're eligible for the surgery, it has to be a certain size and in a certain place. So very few people are eligible for it and that's why it's so deadly. It's the cholangiocarcinoma is aggressive. It can spread quickly. It's hard to get removed. And even if you are eligible for the surgery, it's not even certain that you're going to get everything out. So initially she wasn't going to be eligible for the surgery, and we were like, shit. We just kept praying, and then she was eligible, and then she got the surgery, and they literally got it all out. They got every single bit of it out. So we all breathed a sigh of relief. And that was fall of 2021. But right before the surgery, she had the conversation with my wife that, this is likely it, she didn't, she was like, I'm being positive, but, just being realistic and want to be realistic with you kids. And, so that's actually the main reason we moved. I mean, I know you guys know when I moved, but, because I mentioned it on the podcast or whatever. But we moved so that we could be closer. Like I said, we were in the city. They're just outside the city, so and it's not like we were far away from them, but we wanted to be close, where we could just be there as much as possible. So then she has the cancer removed. Everything's great. We get the new house. We find out that we're expecting our third baby. I mean, like winter, like December of 2021, I was flying high. Like things were great. Everything was going perfect. Like it was just like, this is the perfect medicine for her mom. This is the perfect medicine for everyone. Now we have this baby. We're living close by. Like it couldn't have been better. And then everything turned for us whenever my wife ended up having a miscarriage, and if you listen to that episode from a year and a half ago or whenever it was, that was just devastating. I mean, it came out of nowhere. She perfectly fine, just entering second trimester, and then towards like dinner time one day, she's like, like I'm feeling a little crampy, and you're just like, it'll be okay, I mean, that's like we have two other kids and we've had one miscarriage, so like I've been through that, and I was like, like it'll be okay. It'll be okay. So she was just gonna rest for the evening, and not push it, and it kept getting worse. And then I was putting the two kids to bed, and I remember her texting me saying like it's getting a lot worse, and I was like, oh shit, like this is not good. So anyways, not to rehash that whole story, but yeah, she ended up delivering the baby stillborn in our bathroom, and that was a really, really shitty way to get used to your new house that you've been living in for 2 weeks. I think it was like the 15th day we lived in our house. My wife delivered our baby lifeless in the house. So talk about things that'll completely F you up. And then, that like was pretty devastating to her mom too, as well. I mean, really very devastating. Like, I mean, her parents, it happened at like midnight. I had to like wake them up and have them come over because I had to take her to the hospital. They needed to be here for the kids when they woke up, and it was just, this. I mean, I remember the hug that her mom was giving me that night, just crying, like it was so devastating. So that one took me a while to bounce back from, and I'll be completely honest, I never actually really have fully bounced back from it. And I don't know if you do. Time heals all wounds. It doesn't really heal it, just, makes it less painful whenever you bump into that scar, I guess. So then a couple months later, she's going in for her routine scan, and we find out that the cancer's come back, which I knew was a possibility. It was like around 50% of the time it comes back if you get it removed, but she had beat the odds on everything else, so I was like, it's not going to come back. Then after that, she started chemo treatment. It was working, but then the tumors were growing, and so they like switched up her chemo treatment. And so, that was going, she was doing all that till she did all those treatments for like another year. That was in like April of 22. And she was doing those till May of 23. But they weren't keeping them in check enough, the tumors. They were still growing. So they wanted to try these different things. And then there was this clinical trial. Now the doctor, in like June came to her and said that like, the chemo's not working, so we got to change things up. But, at this current rate, they were giving her a timeline of like 3 to 6 months. So, which we're like smack in the middle of. I apologize if I struggle with this one. Because she's been like a mom to me. I have a great mother, and a great second mother. So, um, it's been hard. But she, against all, there was this clinical trial where she actually got it. Like there was one spot available in the entire country, and she was the one of the people that got it. She was like the last one to get it. And so we're like, hey, like it was in phase 3, so it wasn't a placebo. It means they've had success through phase 1 and 2, enough to get it to phase 3. And so it was like all positive, like she's going to kick butt. And the amazing thing is, through this entire thing, she's looked incredibly healthy. Like you would never know that something's wrong with her. So then she was getting her scan. She got a scan like a week ago. And we were expecting, I mean, she's beat the odds every time. And we were expecting nothing but good news, Like worst case scenario, they'll say that the tumors have stayed the same. But we were expecting to hear that they had shrunk a little bit. And then my wife was at work and she texted me and said, my mom asked me to come over last Thursday. And I was like, oh shit. And then she came home and, the boys, like our kids are running around and I'm sitting there like, eager to hear, like, what did she say? What did she say? And she's like, I can't talk about it right now. I was like, oh my God, that's not good. So it turns out that that the cancer spread. It spread to her lungs, and it spread to her abdominal wall. And yeah, we don't know. She has an appointment tomorrow for a new clinical trial. They haven't given her a timeline or anything. I'm sure they are looking to get the new treatment lined up, and then probably talk about those things. But talk about, I mean, like, I just have never, I don't know, the news just floored us. It just floored us big time. And so your mind just starts racing. Like, what does this mean? How much time do we have? Does she have any hope? And you just, it's weird. Like, I try to explain it, like talking to my parents about it. And the best way to like explain, because it's going to be really hard to talk about this with our kids, who like, they're like, she's like their best friend. And my kids are young. Like, none of it's going to make sense. And sorry. Yeah, I said to my parents, I said, like my grandfather, both my grandmothers had passed away before I was born. My one grandfather passed away when I was like 3 or 4. And so I vaguely remember him and vaguely remember the funeral. And then my other grandfather, he passed away when I was 15, yeah. And he was 93 at the time. So if you do the math, he was 78 when I was born. So, by the time I was like, in that range of like 5 to 10 where, you start to like really, at least a little bit, understand that death exists and death is a thing. Like my grandfather was old, and he looked pretty old. He was a very like small, skinny guy. Um, so I don't know where my height came from in stature, but not that I'm a skyscraper, but so anyways, he I just kind of knew, like, it was like this thing that I'd accepted with my grandfather for a long time. And so I was just telling my parents, like, it's just like, this one just doesn't make sense. She's 61, and it makes me mad. I've talked about it before, but like my uncle, passed away 60, early 60s. I forget when, but he retired in January and died in that December. And we're Bitcoiners, so we think about the fiat mindset and how stupid that is, and so it just makes me so mad. Because my mother-in-law she liked her job, and she was trying to work as long as she could, but towards the beginning of summer when she got that news, and she was like, okay, I need to transition. So she was transitioning her way out. She was going to retire before she wanted to. And then, she got that news, and it was like, she's like, I just have to call them on Monday and say that I can't come back in. Like, she probably had 3 weeks left or something. So it just, that sucks. Not having it happen on your terms, and really in life, what does happen on your terms. And it's just one of those things that, like, if you have a spouse, maybe you'll understand. But if your spouse is going through something painful, and all you want to do is stop it, and all you want to do is make it go away, and there's nothing you can do. And my mother-in-law has remarried, and my wife has a great stepfather, and but her dad passed away. Her biological father passed away when she was 2, in a car accident. So for years, it's just this thing where you realize that there's this hole in her heart that you'll never be able to, fill or heal. And so I wasn't ready for another one, because her mom's like her best friend. And and I'm not ready to lose her. I don't even know why I'm recording this, frankly. I think it feels like it's the only way that my emotions are going to come out, because I'm trying to stay strong in front of her. But let's see here. The day before, maybe it was the day of her scan, she texted me. Here it is. Yeah, it was the day of her scan. She texted and said, "Happy Son's Day. Love you like you're ours." And they really do. And her mom's always had a sixth sense about me. Where, like, if something's off with me, and I might not even realize it myself, she'll just call me and figure it out. Um, so it's like I don't know what am I gonna do without that. Um, how do I explain to my kids that their grandmother and best friend, who they just love and adore, that she's not gonna be here much longer? Um, and the thing that sucks about it with the older of the two, because the younger of the two, it won't make sense. He's around the age that I was whenever I lost my grandfather when I was little. The older of the two, he's just like at that age. He's getting older. It happens so fast. Um, he's just got that last little bit of innocence in him, where life hasn't like just come down hard on him. The worst thing that happens to him is if I take his Nintendo away. But other than that, he hasn't had to experience much pain and discomfort, which I'm grateful for. But it just feels like it's going to be one of those moments where there's going to be a switch that's flipped to a degree. And he's going to go from, the kid who's pretending to be Batman and everything in life is perfect, to a kid who's going to have to confront some very real things. And I know it sounds like ridiculous to be this broken up. People probably sitting there, but it's just, I know kids lose their grandparents. It's part of life. But it wasn't supposed to be this early. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. So it just makes me think of how precious time is and how important the time you spend together is. And that's one of the reasons that I like Bitcoin so much, is that it helps you. It helps you. Money is time, and it is hopefully a way for people to escape that trap and have more of their time. But I don't know. I really don't. If you guys have ever been in this type of situation where it's just the moment where you're literally in survival mode, get from one day to the next, and figure out how to make it through. Because I don't want to work. I just frankly want to curl up in a ball and just feel bad for myself. So that's hard to do when you're an entrepreneur and you have a business. I don't want to say struggling business, but if you're an entrepreneur, until it hits that you are. So it's not like I can go to work and just like mail it in and expect to get the same paycheck. It's not how it works. And I don't know. So it's just hard. Sometimes you use work as a distraction. And it's hard. Like there's just, it's hard, simple things. She comes to every single one of my kids' baseball games. And they're playing in the fall ball leagues, and tonight is a playoff game, and it's like it's kids baseball. I really I don't get worked up. I want them to win, but if they don't, no big deal. It hit me like a ton of bricks after the last regular season game. I was like, oh, there's a playoff game. And she was like, oh, great, one more game. So it's going to be hard tonight at the baseball game um, to sit there and, if we lose, know that might be the last game she ever gets to watch. Oh. I mean, I know she'll be watching from a better place. But it's the last time that my son will be able to, run through first base. And he always looks over and smiles at her, and she'll say something like, nice hit. He says, thanks. And it's just the cutest thing. I'm not ready for that to be over. I'm not ready for any of it to be over. And I know she isn't either. And that is what breaks my heart the most. Is when she told my wife the news last week, she told her, she said, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And you have to zoom out. The only way you can make it through is you have to zoom out and look at the big picture. And if you're not a believer, that's okay. I hope you become one at some point. I'm not just a believer, I'm a knower. I know in my heart that heaven is real and there's a place that we're all going to be together. And I've heard many people talk about how time on this earth is just so it's so skewed. Time is not even real. It's a human construct. And, when you're in heaven, you won't even know. 50 years will seem like a second. You get to heaven, and it's like you have to sit there and wait for your loved ones to come. They are there. Sorry. And it made me think of just a couple weeks ago in church, the reading from St. Paul was paraphrasing, but talking about how he longs to be with the Lord, but also does not want his earthly time to come to an end. I think that's just such a healthy way for all of us to look at it. Is that you gotta have that perspective. It's not all about this physical world. Her, as much as we'll miss her, and we'll want her to be here, she will be reunited with her husband who passed away 35 years ago. And for him, that, would have been an instant. But it's just total mind F to sit there and think about the rest of your earthly time and not having that person. Boy, I thought I'd be able to get through this a little bit easier. But yeah, so there are good sides to it. she'll be in a place where she's not in pain or she's not suffering. And frankly, she's got 2 grandkids up there, that are my kids that have we lost during pregnancy that I need her to take care of. I know that they're taken care of, but she'll be able to. She's been taken care of and playing with the ones down here, and maybe it's time for her to go up there. And I mean, in this time, like, I really want to thank my business partners who really, really, like, helped, and they know that this is going to be a struggle. This is going to be a challenge. And I hope that I'm telling you in short order that this new treatment she's on is working, and everything's going to be fine. I pray that is what is happening, and I ask for you to pray for her as well. Her name is Mary. And if you have any advice, treatments, I've had a lot of people. I tweeted about this, and a lot of people sent me suggestions, and I thank you for those. This is just the painful process of figuring out how to manage this and really understand, that this is a temporary place, and there's a better place where we'll be forever. And I just was hoping it'd be longer from now. But this just goes to show you not everything goes according to your plans. And my mother-in-law's sister was talking to us about, like, her and her husband have had some health issues and some scares and stuff, and she just said, don't wait for anything that you want to do in life. We put things off. Oh, we'll do that when I'm retired. Oh, I'll do this. I'll do that. And it's not guaranteed. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. And so you just got to live life. It sounds so stupid and simple, but you got to live life one day at a time. So I think that's all I got today, guys. And I really appreciate it. And I'm going to try to keep doing weekly. I hope I can, because it's a good vent session. Because frankly, like, this emotion that's been coming out of me now is like, I'm an emotional person, but I've had to be pretty stoic, because it's gotta be about my wife and her. She knows these emotions are coming, but this is also maybe in a way therapeutic for me. So I appreciate you guys all, and I will talk to you guys soon.